We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. Yeah, we are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck! Let me shoot you! He can't fucking breathe! So let me shoot you! We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Friday, you're probably wondering why the hell we're here. Either way, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. Welcome to a special Friday edition. Here, life throws curveballs. We duck and dodge, baby. Here we are, regardless. We've got all sorts of crazy shit, shenanigans, and fun stuff to talk about. We even got a new guy here with us as well. But before we get into all that fun and fuckery, first and foremost, gentlemen, how the hell are you doing over there?
Doing pretty damn good. It's been a good week of work. Getting going on the home girls. Girls are looking fucking good. We got some exciting fights this week. I'm not sure if it's pay-per-view worthy. We got to throw that out there, especially paying $80 for a damn pay-per-view. It's gonna be fun nonetheless. It'll be fun to talk about it tonight too. Like you said, life throws the curveball, but we're still fucking here to give everybody a little something.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited. Appreciate you guys having me on. This has been already a good time. I'm excited to talk some UFC.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Glad to have you here.
Appreciate it.
So, first and foremost, kick things off the way we like to around here. Little bit of news and recent events. Starting things off right up at the top here, going into this week. Cody Garbrandt, to the surprise of very few, is injured and out of this weekend's fight with Mario Batista. But fret not, on 6 days' notice, like the badass that he is, coming fresh off of the UFC's third ever Twister submission victory, Damon Blackshear steps up to be the fucking stud that he proves to be, coming in this weekend looking like a badass. Very excited to see what he can bring in terms of fight against Batista on short notice. To his credit, Batista looked pretty goddamn shredded himself, but 6 days is a very little amount of time to change a game plan, and Damon Blackshear is a very different fighter than Cody Garbrandt. So that, if nothing else, is going to make for one damn sure interesting fight this weekend on that pay-per-view card. Over on the other side of the house here, on the PFL side of things, their weigh-ins finished up, and were things fucking laughable. Olena, how the fuck do you say her last name? Kolesnik, I believe, stepped on the scale 3 pounds overweight, but not to be outdone. Daquan Buckley, words live. Daquan Buckley steps on the scale at heavyweight and misses by a whopping 8 fucking pounds. These are playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. These are not just regular fights. PFL holds their season like a regular sports season would, like baseball or basketball. These are the playoffs. These are the semi-final rounds of their $1 million per division playoffs. And these people are missing by 3 and 8 pounds at heavyweight. Crying out loud. Now, Daquan Buckley obviously missing by 8 pounds. The commission was not going to clear that fight at heavyweight, least of all. So that one didn't happen. Olena did just get her ass handed to her by Larissa Pacheco, to the surprise of very few who've been paying attention. Larissa's on the fast track to take that $1 million again and keep their division at 145 pounds again next year, because I don't think she's going to give Kayla the chance to go back to 55 if she has anything to say about it. Now, the other side of things, back over into the UFC side of the house here. The biggest non-pay-per-view card the UFC has promoted this year. They are calling it UFC de Noche. September 16th, Mexican Independence Day, is the fight night from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It is essentially a pay-per-view card for the masses for free. Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. Now also getting added several other fights we have got here. Chris Curtis is injured. He has broken a rib. He is out of his fight with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, but fret not, Roman Kopylov, stepping in on just 6 weeks notice, steps up to take that challenge. Signed, sealed, delivered, contracts are dry. He is officially in. In that same vein, Jack Della Magdalena, coming fresh off of a Studley performance, steps in off of another gentleman, against another gentleman coming off of a Studley performance of his own, against Kevin Big Mouth Holland, added to that September 16th card, as if they didn't have enough fire on there. And then, just to make things laughable, because you can't have everything be serious, Christian's very favorite fighter himself, Raul Rosas Jr., is officially added to the September 16th card, taking on Terrence Mitchell. So we know that they're not taking that card too seriously, but they are stacking it with some names that at least people will recognize. In terms of the non-UFC, but still UFC related, Luke Rockhold, fresh off of his unretirement, is stepping in on the other side of the world on September 21st to take on Craig Jones in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match on an Israel Fight Night card. Yes, all of those words go together. I promise you. Look it up yourself. It makes as little sense when you look at it as it does when I say it, but them's the facts. I don't know why this is happening the way that it is, where it is, or the fact that it is happening, but you know what? It's gonna be a thing, so I'm sure we'll hear more about it as we get a little bit closer. On to the more sad side of the news here, if it were. We found out the reason that D-Rod is officially out of that September 16th card that we were all looking forward to seeing him on. He officially popped hot for Osterine. He came out ahead of it, not to let USADA make the fucking decision for him or the fight getting canceled be the decision. He stepped up and actually said exactly what USADA told him, that he did test positive in an out of competition sample for low levels of Osterine, and they basically tracked it down to one of his supplements that may or may not, I say with air quotes for those of you listening, contain low levels of Osterine across large batches, and seeing as how that's the only non-UFC regulated supplement that he's ever taken, that's likely the culprit. But at this point, we don't know what's going to become of it, if he's going to go to get it tested or if he's just going to own it, take a suspension and move on. But now we know why D-Rod is out of that fight, so that sucks, but at least he's standing up and saying what happened, so there is that. We got, I'm going to call it interesting news in Frank Mir announcing that his work with the United Fighters League is not just in a promotional and a fight coordination standpoint anymore. He is officially looking to unretire and put on 2 more final MMA matches. One as a warm-up fight against a no one just to get back in the feel of it, and then one against someone of his era and his age as an official retirement fight on a card that he could share with his daughter to let her headline it. I can absolutely agree with and understand both of those. The reality of it being what he wants it to be and what we would like to see it be, pretty fucking slim, though, in my opinion. But there's always hope. So we will just wait until we get a little bit closer to anything like that becoming a reality and see how it starts to play out. Hopefully it can become something cool and we can see Frank right off into the sunset and let his daughter step up and pass that baton officially and everything can be cool. But I got a funny feeling. So we'll just see how that one plays out. We got official notification for the UFC that Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Ian Heinisch have officially retired from mixed martial arts. Joanna had officially retired and then jumped back into the USADA pool and started training again, was talking about making another run at it. She got an injury in training and requires surgery. She's going to be out of training again for at least another 12 months. She won't say exactly what it is, but anything that keeps you out for another year is pretty fucking serious. And at this point, I agree. Too little, too late. Let it go. Move on. Heal. Go about your life. Ian Heinisch, unfortunately, we know he's got over a year now of concussion syndrome still going on from his last fight. The doctors just cannot get it pinned down. I completely agree with him stepping away. Unfortunate that it is, but I hope that they get it all figured out and he doesn't have to keep getting punched in the head to make a living, because obviously that's not meant for him. We'll see how both of those cases shake loose. Joanna's new tits aren't going to pay for themselves, and she's not the most frugal of fucking sabers. She's very admitted about that. Ian has a very checkered past, so we'll see how that one plays out, but I'm not putting much faith in that one either. We'll see how it goes. Now, the one good thing I do have to round out the end of the news here is that the ABC, the American Boxing Commission, has officially approved 2 new rules specifically pertaining to mixed martial arts to be introduced immediately to every organization that applies by the unified rule set, hopefully enacted in this weekend, because I have a feeling at least one of them may come into play. The first one is that any incidental foul resulting in a cut will now immediately allow, upon the declaration of the foul, when the referee yells time because it's a foul, they immediately now call in a cut man to seal up the cut before the doctor addresses whether the fighter is able to continue. Because as we all know, sometimes if you just seal the little fucking drippy thing over your eye, the fight can go on. And now they may. So that's a good one. But the one that I feel is more likely to be used this weekend, excuse me, upon an eye poke foul Fighters will now be given a cold compress for 90 seconds to hold over the afflicted eye before the doctor is brought in to even look at them and determine whether they can go on or not. That's something I don't understand why they didn't implement in the very fucking beginning. And I get we're still stuck with so many of these fucking archaic boxing rules tied to MMA, but this is one of those proper fucking steps in the right direction to actually mold the rule set for the sport that gentlemen are participating in to the sport that they are participating in. It's not what we need, but it's a step in the right fucking direction, and it's going to help a lot more than it's going to hurt, for damn sure. That being said, that brings me to a triplicate of sad news to close out the news segment this afternoon. First and foremost, after 6 grueling years, Dana White has finally gotten tired of hearing my truth speaking, has blocked both the podcast and myself on Instagram. I wear that badge right here on my checkered fucking sachet. 2, Ari Emanuel's fucking dumbass has uttered possibly the second stupidest set of fucking words into a microphone that I can recall in the year 2023 of our Lord, making fucking slap jokes about Dana White and COVID protocols in one foul, ignorant fucking swoop, only to be topped off by Dana White himself, still standing by the knowledge of the fact that him slapping his wife on New Year's Eve happened is punishment enough. No, the fuck it's not, Dana, and I will continue to repeat it until someone holds your fat fucking ass accountable. That being said, is there anything else in the news world that either one of you gentlemen that I might have missed this week?
I could have swore after that Sandhagen fight, they threw in another rule change based on ground working. Did that one not go through all the way?
No, it did not get officially approved. It's still technically in committee, I say with air quotes for those listening.
Okay.
It's not dead. It just didn't get approved. These are the 2 that got put through and are officially now rules to be adopted
gotcha.
into the unified rule set and let loose into the world, as it were.
Interesting. Okay, I had seen that too, and I didn't know if that had actually gotten quashed or they just don't have that the wording finished on it or something, probably.
Yeah, no, they just haven't put that one through yet. Hopefully it all goes through and we get the ones.
I do kind of hope that goes through. Like it makes sense to stand them up. If there's, you shouldn't be able to just win by laying on a man.
I agree. You should lose the position at the very least.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope that ends up coming through too eventually, but I do understand if that one needs a little more time because that's a pretty big rule change right there.
Right. So with that being said, that'll bring us to the point in the show where sometimes if you've been watching combat sports as long as some of us have, you inadvertently develop a set of blinders, so to speak, and you start to develop a certain set and time and way to consume your combat sports. And unfortunately, that can lead you to miss the forest for the trees, as it were. But luckily for us here on the podcast, we have ourselves a bona fide young person who can finger the pulse of MMA like nobody's business and keeps us in contact with all the freshest and the hottest newness, lets us know the names we need to watch before they become a name to watch, in a little segment we like to call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So, on this week, we got a second week of the Contender Series. Contender Series is back. We're supposed to be getting contenders. First week, Dana handed out 5 contracts. Maybe 2 of them were worthy, what I would say contenders that I'm going to be looking out for. Talked about last week. This week, he hands out another 5 contracts. There's one good one that I'm going to talk about today. Ibo Aslan, a light heavyweight prospect that we got. 12-1 record, 11 knockouts, got himself a very nice head kick knockout in the first round to earn an actual contract. The other 4 decision victories, a couple of them were actually fun fights, like that situation of a comeback victory, getting their ass whooped a little bit at the beginning, working their way back to get the win. See, maybe you can understand leaning towards them to give them a contract, but everybody getting a contract every week just because they win at this point. It's getting old. You're just flooding it up with a bunch of people, seeing what they can do. They wind up losing every fight they get in the UFC and then get cut. Just kind of a waste of time. But, we know who's running the show on that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We got a light heavyweight. We could definitely use that. That division's needed some help, an actual exciting prospect and contender. So we'll be on the lookout for Ebo Aslan making his debut and getting his way in the UFC. As for the other 4 that got contracts, not going to touch on it. Throwing this in the can. To start off our cans this weekend, both of the Ultimate Fighter finales. Because at this point, I have to just say that the Ultimate Fighter, it's just stained compared to what it used to be. It's just disgusting, what they did with this season. It was a nice idea, Chandler versus McGregor, but if you actually watched any episode of the entire season, it was horrible. It was like they toned McGregor down or something. They paid him a bunch of money or some shit to pretty much not cuss, not be himself, not talk trash. Like there was no animosity between Chandler and McGregor.
Well, the one little beef, but that felt kind of staged.
Yeah, the one little 15-second thing where he pushes Chandler was the only moment you get out of an entire 10 episodes. It was poor. It was really piss poor. Trying to build up a fight, bring back Connor. All of it was disappointing. Having the veterans in there and not mixing up the teams, just literally having a team full of veterans against the prospects. The guys with the experience are probably going to trump these young kids trying to get their first opportunity in the UFC. So now we're loaded up with the finales being a bunch of guys that got cut from the UFC. Most of them being in their mid-30s. So they're no longer in their prime. They're on the outside of their prime. They're middle of the pack fighters like Cody Gibson and Kurt Hollabaugh, Austin Hubbard. All 3 of those dudes, every one of the 4 other than Brad Katona have done horrible in the regional scene since being cut from the UFC. But they were thrown into this situation because the UFC needed to do something, right? They needed some people. And that's just where they're at this point. I don't feel like the matchmakers or their scouting group do a very good job of bringing in actual contenders and prospects, because they should be reaching around the entire world now, not just picking up people from the United States. As much as I am a true-blooded America, will raise my goddamn flag and be patriotic for this country, you've got to outreach with this being a global international sport.
It's a worldwide sport.
You can't just be picking out guys out of the damn Midwest or the South that have a 15-8 record, for fuck's sake, 36 years old, and you were trying to call this the Ultimate Fighter. And he's been cut from the UFC before. It's awful. Brad Katona won the Ultimate Fighter before. If he wins again tomorrow night, he's now the Ultimate Fighter twice. We're going to praise that you won the Ultimate Fighter the first time, and then you get cut, and you had to work your way back again, so you won it twice. That's not a praise, buddy. That's like an asterisk on your career. That should be the embarrassment. It's like you doing steroids, not fully, right? But it's an embarrassment in my eyes that you got cut and you had to earn your way back like that. You had to win the Ultimate Fighter. You weren't actually good enough in your merits to just work your way back without that gimmick of being the Ultimate Fighter a second time. It's just not looking forward to either fight. I think both of the fights themselves are also going to be trash. So we're throwing both those fights in the trash. And then obviously I got Andrea Lee, Dennis Tooley, and Brad Tavares. I all feel like going in the can this weekend as well. Contenders that I'm looking out for. I know Meter and TJ, if he was here as well, you guys don't like him, but Andre Petrowski, if he beats GM3 this weekend, we've got to look out for him. You may not like him. You may not want him. But the dude's got some talent if he beats JM3 this weekend.
If the real GM3 stands up, if the real GM3 stands up, and not this hot and cold bullshit that we've seen, if the real Mearshart is there this weekend and Petrowski beats him, I will give him a little bit of credit.
That's what I want to see, too. I want to see them go through an absolute war and Petrowski actually earn that shit instead of just getting a lucky fucking, guillotine in the first round or some shit because Gerald makes a fucking little mistake. But that's still point given. We're throwing Petrowski in there even though we know he's not liked here on the show. because he is undefeated in the UFC. He's had 4 fights. This will be his 5th fight, and we love Gerald Meerschaert. So we are on the side of Gerald this week. We want everybody to know that. SlowB thinks Gerald Meerschaert's going to whoop that ass. But if Petrovsky gets it done, we're going to fully call him a contender here because of Meerschaert's level and skill. 33 finishes out of his 35 wins, 27 of them by submission.
Right.
Petrovsky goes out there and works him over. It's going to be something special in my eyes. You got the return of fucking Chris Weidman. He goes out there, beats Brad Tavares. You got to give him a ranked fight after that. And he's working his way back up at that point. After the gruesome ass injury that we saw in the 2-year layoff, this could be the greatest sports comeback in history. Fuck Conor McGregor and his bullshit and trying to talk about he's about to have the greatest comeback in sports history. Can kiss my fucking ass with that shit. The absolute American legend is going to make a hell of a fucking return this weekend. I love the joking around back and forth with Brad Tavares at the press conference about throwing that leg kick. I hope Brad does give it to him. And he doesn't check it. Just let him get that fear out. Let us as fans get it out too. What we all had to fucking witness years ago. Let him just wham. Just throw a really good one.
Just
it's
one.
solid, and let's get it on. Have a fucking one. It's going to be a good.
He said he can tag him back too.
The most excited I am. Any fight on this card, I'm the most excited for Weidman's fucking return and that ability to work his way back into the contendership. And I got to throw the Silva girls out there. Karine Silva, Natalia Silva, both young ladies I'm looking forward to. 29-year-old, 26-year-old. A lot of finishing potential between the two of them. Look out for them. And I don't like this guy at all, but Ian Gary's fucking ass. You go out there and beat Neil Magny, a dude that's fought in the UFC 30 times. This is going to be his 31st fight in the UFC. He knocks him out, especially. He's a full-on contender. The kid's going to be a top 10 guy. He's going to be getting a big fight come up. And he's going to be doing the Conor McGregor shit. That's why they're giving him Boston. That's why they gave him the pay-per-view spot in Boston. They are literally trying to recreate Conor McGregor with Ian Gary. And that's what I hate even more. The kid's just like him. That's why we all didn't like Conor at first. The brash bullshit. You haven't really fought anybody. Daniel Rodriguez, and he did look good against him, but still, D-Rod's kind of a middle-of-the-pack guy. So this is their first real test. I thought Jeff Neal was a lot more exciting. Definitely going to be a tougher test because of Neal's boxing and then power. But Neil Magny's got that serious experience. Can work it on the feet. Got the grappling. If Ian Gary gets that win, we got to throw him in the contender. So let's hear it from you guys. That'll be it for me. You guys got a contender, a can for this weekend that you'd like to throw out there?
On that fight in particular?
Just in the card in general, you got a favorite can or a
Anybody
favorite
on the card that you're looking at?
Oh, a favorite pick on the card? A favorite fight on the card? Oh,
crappy fighters go in the can, a contender or prospect, you throw them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm excited as hell for that Chris Weidman fight. I'm excited for that. That's going to be a great fight. If it goes the way I think, it's going to be an amazing fight. And I think Chris Weidman, he's still got it. Who's it? Anthony Smith that was talking and saying that in all the sparring he's ever done with Chris Weidman, pre-leg break, post-leg break, he's never beat him in anything they've done.
Yep.
I mean, that says a lot.
Fuck yeah.
That guy's no joke. Huh?
Yeah, I agree. It absolutely says a lot.
It says a lot about that. But that fight in particular, I'm excited. Now, guys, I do have to say, I'm excited for the Marlon Vera fight. And only because he grew his hair out. He's got to be serious. We got Vera with the hair again.
Well, not only that, but if you saw an embedded, he brought his "Fuck That's Delicious" hat for Bronson support. So he's got all the good luck charms on board this time.
That's awesome, dude. I love him. He's funny as hell to me. I don't know. I like him. But I'm also excited about that Magny Machito fight. Magny's got so much experience. Machida Gary's like, he's still a fresh face. He's, Conor McGregor 2.0 and half as good as far as we know so far. But look, guys, I want Magny to go in there and just rock his ass.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm hoping to see too.
I really do. I'm sorry. That's my feelings on that one. I want him to go in there and rock Gary.
And I think it's possible. Again, almost every one of Gary's fights he's had in the UFC, the kid lets himself get fucking hurt. He's kind of like Paddy Pimblett. He's got a huge fucking mouth, but he's got horrible defense, even if you've got actual good talent.
Yeah, no, I mean, his chin's the only thing that's kept him in the game. Is the fact that
a little too young.
That's it.
A little too young.
Because he puts himself in danger to get what he does done.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm also excited about the Whaley and Lamos fight, the Jank Lamos. Like that could go either way, guys.
We'll definitely get to that. We'll definitely
that
get to
fight
that a little bit for sure.
What was that?
So we'll definitely get to talk about the co-main event here in just a little bit for sure.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. But seriously, that fight, I'm excited. And then, I don't know. There's a few interesting fights on this card. It's not stacked by any means, but like some of these I don't even care about, honestly. Let's see. So the Mearshart Petrosky fight, I'm interested in that too. That could go. I mean, because Petrosky has a chance. Mearshart's a badass. So I'm kind of up in the air on that one. But and then I've got both the Sylvias.
Yeah, they're badass.
And they're badass. I think both the Sylvias are going to take it. There's a few that I'm up in the air on. I've changed my my pick several times. But I'm excited. I mean, it's not the best, but this is going to be a good one.
So I've got a solid can and a contender here for you here. My contender has, in my opinion, completely flown under the fucking radar leading up into this, including media day for some fucking reason. RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez. Everybody's talking about Dennis Hallulian. Nobody's talking about the dude that got a legitimate finger-sized split in his forehead and came back from it. Like, no one in combat sports has had an injury to their face half as large as RoboCop has, and even thought about coming back. And not only does he come back, if you've seen his social media, that motherfucker's just as bad as he ever was. That Dennis Hallulian is in for a big fucking problem this weekend. I'm telling you.
I agree. 100% agree with you on that.
And then
because
on the other side,
that cut was gross. Sorry.
And then on the other side of that, my can for this week. I love that everybody loves the Silva sisters, but everybody is not talking about how fucking horrible Andrea Lee is. How she is still in the UFC to begin with, I don't understand. I really hope that by using the Silva girl, who's unranked as of right now, as a litmus test, and I hope with everything I can hope with that Silva wins this fucking fight, that they just give her walking papers and we can be done with her and her husband and ex-husbands, all racist bullshit. Send them all back to the fucking trailer park. We can be done with a lot of them.
Dude, she looks like part of the Brady Bunch in the picture.
Almost.
It's ridiculous. She just doesn't look like she belongs in the MMA at all.
No, that's what I got.
Vincent watched weigh-ins with me the other day, and he saw Andrea Lee. He was like, "What the fuck?" He actually started laughing his ass off.
Yeah, I get it.
She's just—it's one of these things doesn't belong here type of game right there. Yeah, I agree, guys. Like I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good. I appreciate both of you guys. Like the fucking takes. That'll be it for me, though.
Yeah.
No TJ, so no Tapology this week.
Well, we're gonna run it. We're gonna run it real quick, but before we get to that, this is the point in most podcasts where you would get your B-roll bullshit, your ads for some company that doesn't actually have anything to do with the podcast, and we don't fucking play that game here. This podcast is supported by Patreon. If you like what we do here, patreon.com/IamNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, you can get your name at a thank you at the end of every broadcast that goes across this channel, as well as unfettered access behind the scenes, unaired, and unairable content, things that are literally too hot for OnlyFans. We are the only podcast that I know of that was kicked off of OnlyFans. So that content is all over on the Patreon. For as little as $1, you get access to it and you help us do what we do here. That being said, this is normally TJ's segment, so I'm still going to give him the normal disclaimer. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form sponsor, endorse, or promote the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology.com does offer you the option to create a free account and make a group of like-minded individuals to make those accounts with. We've made such a group. It's called I'm No Bookie or Group 965, however you need to search it. It is open to the public. You are welcome to make an account, join the group, and come put your picks head-to-head against us in a segment we normally call Tapology with TJ, but I'm doing it. So this week we're just calling it God Damn It. That being said, in true Tapology with TJ form, we're going to start by real quick going over last week. This motherfucker over here just ever so fucking slightly kept pushing my fucking head down under the water. God damn it, 10 fucking points is all I needed. Nope, wouldn't let me fucking have it. Had to have his fucking moment in the sun. Christian kicked my fucking ass. Got it done, son of a bitch. I will say for a good portion of last week, it was a three-way race to the bottom. Golf T, Vinny, and Don could not figure out which of the three of them were going to step over their dick the first, the hardest, or the fastest. Luckily for the other two involved this week, once again, as you can tell by that glorious screen grab that is running across us here, Don was the one to trip over his dick this week. So that being said, get your shit together, Don. We're waiting for you, boy. Now, in terms of this week, though, this week, ironically, is the week that TJ probably would have loved to have been here the most because we actually have odds all over the goddamn place. Whereas most of the time when he does this, it's a fucking coin flip and it's 110 to 110 or 125 to 100. And no, we've actually got some fucking odds across the board here. Right out the fucking gate at the top, Andrea Lee, who I was just talking about, can of fucking cans, plus 260 underdog against Natalia Silva, minus 325 favorite. Wow, I love it. I love to fucking see it. Back down here, RoboCop. Just mentioned him a minute ago. Minus 355 favorite against Tallulah and the plus 280 dog in this fight. The odds makers aren't as afraid this week as they have been the last couple of weeks for damn sure. Weidman, ironically, a plus 205 dog to Tavares, minus 250 favorite. I don't know about those odds being that fucking stacked and that fucking side, to say the least, but there's money to be made if you got faith in the All-American for damn sure. The probably narrowest odds on the card that I'm looking at here, surprisingly enough, Chito Vera minus 185 favorite versus Pedro, the 154 dog. That's pretty fucking close, and I really don't think that fight's going to be that close. I like both those guys, but I think those odds should be way fucking higher, so definitely keep an eye on that one as it gets a little closer. Those odds might fucking rise a little. The big one here that I was talking about earlier will give you a run backwards here. The main event, Sterling is a minus 265 favorite to the O'Malley plus 215 dog. That's pretty fucking even odds, and that's about where most people I've talked to expected it to be. You get to the co-main, and it's a little bit further apart. Wei Li is a minus 310 favorite versus Lemos's plus 250 dog. A little bit closer. I still think even that could be a little further. But then we get to the people's co-main event here. Magny versus Machado Gary. Magny is a plus 370 dog to Machado's minus 485 favorite. If Magny lays him out, Vegas is going to cry greenbacks. Oh my God. At fucking minus 485 to 370 now, and it's going to get closer as we see shit talking in the ceremonial face-offs and everything go out. Oh my God. So there's money, there's odds on this card all across the fucking board. If you are in a state that would allow you to do such a thing as sports gambling, fucking Missouri, get your shit together. I would highly encourage you to find a spare $5 if you've got one, and maybe make yourself a nice little parlay, because there's odds up and down the board here that you can make a couple coins with. Now, that being said, before we get into the fun of the evening, I do want to give you guys a quick little fight menu for the weekend here, a little rundown. PFL 8's playoffs just ended literally just moments ago. In approximately 20 minutes, LFA 165 will kick off. Nice little feeder organization. Some of those names very well may end up in the UFC. Tomorrow morning at noon Central Time, KSW 85, excuse me, goddamn hiccups. KSW 85 kicks off, another one of those organizations from Europe side of things that feeds heavily into the UFC as well. Some of those names you might recognize in the UFC before too damn long. And then on the other side of it, last but certainly not least, the marquee for the weekend, live from Boston TD Garden, UFC 292, Sterling versus O'Malley. So at this point in the show, if you are watching here on youtube.com/I'm No Joe, you would know by the terrifying gift that has rolled across the screen that this is the time where we stop being so fun and haha and we start being fucking get it down. This is the point where things cease to be friendly and they start to be ferocious. In a little segment where we put folks head to head and we call it the pit. Boys and girls, we have got ourselves a bona fide new gentleman here. And as you may know, we run things here in the pit like a certain club whose name will not be mentioned. If it's your first night, you have to fight. So, without further ado, Christian, Ramey, gentlemen, welcome to the pit. Are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
All right. Christian, since you are the veteran here, I'll let you take your bong hit, and then I'm going to have you go first so that Ramey can kind of get the feel of things here. Pretty standard 60-ish seconds to answer your questions, round 1 through 4. Should we get a tie at the end of things, we will go to a round 5, sudden death, winner take all question. First one out the gate here. Christian, are you ready to go, sir?
I am ready.
All right.
Now he's ready.
We will start this as we always start the pit. On every fight card, there is one fight that just does not get the love that it deserves, the love that the people should be feeling before we get to it. The fight that when you're watching anyone in earshot, you will make sure they are paying attention. We like to call that the fight of the card. So, Christian, for you, what's that Haymaw fight?
I love that you started with this one. I love that I get to start it out with this. Chris motherfucking Weidman versus Brad Tavares.
Damn it.
If I'm asking mom to get in there, if I'm asking a newbie that's never seen a fight, I pull everybody off the fucking street if they don't have access to these fights. The All-American's fucking bad. One of the worst injuries we've ever seen in combat sports history, just like what happened to Anderson Silva. And that's the literal thing that made it so much more powerful if you are a diehard fan, right? Because when Anderson Silva broke his leg, it was against Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris broke his leg years later the same way. It was like a sick, twisted way of karma, and it's like that didn't need to happen because Chris is such a good human being. Has always been a stand-up guy since he's been to the UFC, literal role model for everybody. True. And it's fantastic to see that he's been able to work his way back. None of us really know because we haven't seen that documentary we've heard about either, that's supposed to happen, so we don't fully know all the trials and tribulations other than what we've heard Chris talk about, all the, countless surgeries, countless rehab and work to try to get back to this point. And everybody that works with Chris, trains with Chris, has said that, he's no different than he was before. He's in fantastic fucking shape, strong as hell. He looks amazing. And even if he's 39 years old, we've seen with Glover Teixeira and many other guys, he can have some success in those later fucking years. So just like what Wonder Boy is doing right now, trying to work his way back to a title. Can't wait to fucking see Chris Weidman make that return. And it's not being talked about that much. I love that he did a little interview with Daniel Cormier this week and said, what the fuck's going on here? Like, feels disrespected being put on the prelims. Even if it's the featured prelim, not putting this fight on the main card. Even more so after Cody Garbrandt had to pull like this fight should have been on the main card over the Cody Garbrandt Mario Batista fight, in my opinion, in the first place. But then Garbrandt has to pull out of the fight. As much as I like Damone Blackshear, and I'm excited for that fight, this fight then trumps that. As soon as you have to make that switch up, the Weidman Tavares fight should have been put on the main card. They still didn't do it. It's absolute disrespect. The fight hasn't been talked about by fight media or really anybody as much as I feel like it should. This is the biggest story in combat sports this fucking week. Chris Weidman making the walk again, making that return. Can't wait to fucking see it. The thing I am the most excited for tomorrow night. Absolutely 100% underhyped, not talked about enough, and anybody that's never seen a fight would recommend to see this. Because what Weidman's going to be able to do after that horrible injury, go in there against Brad Tavares. Pretty tough dude. The guy that's fought in the UFC over 20 times himself.
Well, yeah.
He goes out there and whoops his ass like I think he's going to whoop his ass. And we're all going to be standing up, shouting, hooping, and hollering, spilling our beer everywhere, knocking over the bongs, losing our fucking minds, and I'm going to be here for it every last fucking second. I can't wait.
Hell yeah.
Unfortunately, I agree with you 100%. Is this supposed to be like a pit-off like thing? Like, I agree with him 100% on every bit of that.
The other one.
Like, I don't know what else to say, dude. Like, you kind of stole everything I was gonna say. I'm stoked for that fight. Sorry, I really am. I agree with you. It's 100% under talked about, under promoted. But I'm sorry, I'm getting off course here. So what am I supposed to do next? How am I supposed to come back at this? I apologize. I'm brand new to this, guy.
No worries, man. No worries. So on every fight card, there is always one fight that doesn't get enough hype. So the one fight for you, other than Weidman, if anyone is around you when that fight starts, you're going to grab them and make sure that they're watching.
You fucking stole the best one by far. Yeah, look, I'm excited about the Rodriguez fight. I think that's going to be an interesting one. I don't think that one's been promoted as much as it should be either. I think that's going to be a banger. I don't think it's going to see all 3 rounds. And I also think if you are an MMA fan, or even if you're like a mild MMA fan, that could be a fight that could get you like really like worked up about MMA. So that's probably my take on that, because honestly, you literally took the best one by a long shot. that is the fight to watch, the Chris Weidman shot. I mean, that's going to be amazing. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. But then also, I guess there's also the Mearshart fight. I think that's a good one. But I'm going to go with I'm going to have to go with the Rodriguez Tululian. How do you say his last name?
Tululian.
There we go. Yeah, I think that's an underrated fight. I'm excited for it. I think if Rodriguez wins this, it's going to be a big deal. I'm going to be kind of excited to see who he calls out if he does win.
I agree.
Because I feel like if he wins this fight, he should be calling somebody out.
Absolutely.
So that's mine. But yeah, the Weidman fight. God damn. It's gonna be sick.
So
sorry.
For round 1 here, I do feel a little bad about it, but only just a little bit. Rami, unfortunately, you did stumble right into a trope here on the show, what we refer to as the low-hanging fruit. Generally stuff that gets mentioned early on in the Decans and Contenders segment, or anyone that I specifically love because I make up the points, and this is whose line is it anyway? No points don't matter.
It's all good.
Yeah, but so for round 1, we are going to give the point for Christian here. So SlowB
It
gets
has to
round
go
one.
to him. I agree 100%. Actually, I can't disagree with it.
So for round two here, we're gonna flip the proverbial coin, and then Ramey, you'll take this one first here.
Okay.
For round two, we also flip that proverbial question around here. So if every card has one fight that's not getting enough love, that inevitably means that on every card, there is one fight that people just will not shut up about, that doesn't deserve any of the fucking hype. We call it the overhyped fight of the card. Which fight on this UFC 292 card, in your opinion, is getting way more love than it deserves?
Man. All right. There's an obvious two of them. I'm gonna go. Oh, it's killing me because there's two that are just, in my opinion, way overhyped. But I'm gonna go with the Ian Gary Magny. And the only reason is because Gary's been just running his mouth like just nonstop. And it's not necessarily that the fight's been overhyped overall. It's just that Ian Gary will not shut up. I mean, the other obvious one, I'm sure you'll choose, Christian. But I'm excited for this fight because I'm a fan of Neil Magny. And I want to see what he can do in there. And I want to see him actually make Gary work for his win if he's going to get a win. I want to see him work for it. So I feel like this fight's like, just because of Gary, he's just been hyping it up so hard. And I think Magny has a lot of tools in his tool chest there that he can bring out against Gary. So that's the one that I feel like has got like way too much. And maybe it's because he calls himself the future. Come on, man.
Yeah, I agree. Look why that got Macy Barber.
Right.
But
yeah,
I agree.
I feel like that.
Great fight.
And I feel like Gary's just overhyped it himself a lot. But there's another obvious choice.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm probably going to lose this round because I chose that.
No, it's definitely getting way more hype and way more love than it deserves, for damn sure.
Yeah, and I think Magny has the tools to at least get Gary down to a point to where he's going to at least have some respect for some other people in the octagon.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, well, that'll bring us back across the octagon, as it were, here. So, Christian, question comes back to you, sir. On every card, there is one fight that inevitably gets way more shine than it deserves, and I'm sure you got a good one here. So, for you on this 292, which one's getting way more rub than it needs?
Yeah, there's a few options. There's some low hanging fruit there. You know, the Ultimate Fighter finales. We could say those are overhyped. Just trying to call those Ultimate Fighter fights. You know, it's trash second attempts for guys that have been cut from the UFC. You got the main event, Sean O'Malley. There's another guy like Ian Gary, hugely overhyped. But my overhyped fight for this weekend's card, Mario Batista versus Damon Blackshear. Not that I'm not excited for this fight or excited for either one of these guys. I think both of these guys are awesome contenders, have a ton of potential, can be serious, you know, top guys, you know, work their way towards a title. Both of them have that potential from what we've seen out of them. This is going to be an exciting ass fight, but main card, like I was saying about Weidman, you know, when I went on my spiel about how excited I am about Chris Weidman, not just Chris Weidman. There's a couple other fights they could have potentially put on the main card, in my opinion, over this one. It's just because of that switch out. I know what they were trying to do for Cody Garbrandt. You know, that's really why it was on the main card in the first place. But as soon as Cody pulls out of the fight, you have to get that switch up. Just doesn't deserve to hold up on the main card. Winds up becoming way overhyped, in my opinion. They have done a good job trying to hype it up by getting Damon Blackshear, you know, a dude that literally just got a twister. And we've only seen that a few times in UFC history, and that was literally a week ago. And he's fighting back to back, so he's pulling a Hamzat. He's even better than Hamzat, right? Like, that's cool as shit. I love the story to it, but it doesn't feel worthy of main card spots. So it's, for me, totally overhyped. And just didn't want to take the low-hanging fruit. So throw my branches elsewhere. And I think on the main card, you're just stretching our skis here with Batista versus Blackshear.
Definitely agree. definitely can understand that point of view. Had that exact same opinion until about an hour and a half ago when I found out why Damon Blackshear versus Mario Batista stayed on the main card and Chris Weidman stayed as the premier prelim. And the sole reason was because he had already done the promo videos and ESPN had already done promotional packages to run with Chris Weidman as the premier prelim. That's literally the reason Chris Weidman didn't get on the main card, because he had
That's
already
sad.
shot his promotional fucking videos.
Yeah, that's sad. He deserves some more respect than that.
I agree. I 100% agree. And I would happily, that Batista versus Blackshear is one of the fights that I'm most excited about on this card. And I would gladly sacrifice it to put Weidman back on its fucking place. But
Absolutely.
unfortunately, ESPN being the wallet daddy of the UFC at the moment, that means that Blackshear fight's going to stay where it's going to stay. And I do agree that fucking Ian versus fucking Neil fight is so obliterously fucking overhyped. It's annoying. But I do agree, it is probably the most overhyped. So we are going to give the points for round 2 here to Ramy.
All right.
So coming into round 3, that'll bring us back across the octagon to Christian here. Christian, round 3, we're going to start as we always do with round 3 in this co-main event. We have actually got the ladies strawweight champion on the line, Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos, champ versus the number 5 ranked lady. Who do you see walking out with that belt, and how do they get there?
This one's easy as hell. It's hand still. Zhang Weili said it in the final face-offs there. She spoke that little bit of English, man. She put the belt around her waist again. She said, hand still. You know, it's going to happen. She's, in my opinion, one of the strongest and scariest ladies in the entire UFC, and she's 115 pounds. Isn't that fucking something? It's unreal. Everybody's trying to hype up Lemos a little bit, but in all honesty, they just put Lemos in this position because Rose moved up to 125. Rose didn't want to do the rematch with Weili for a third time.
She didn't have to.
The weight class.
She proved herself.
So, you know, that would have been the most exciting fight, though, that the strawweight division had to offer. And Lemos, any hardcore fan knows she doesn't deserve it. Just last year, she got choked out standing up by Jessica Andrade. I don't ever want to pull out any MMA math, but look how Andrade has been since that moment. That's the only thing. I'm not going to pull out statistics or any bullshit. How has Andrade looked since that standing guillotine that we saw against Lemos last year? And Lemos has won 2 fights against middle of the pack ladies, not top contenders, not what you would consider ladies that are ever going to see a title shot. So this is easy in my opinion. Lemos may have some power, but we've also seen Weili go against ladies with some power. Rose was able to knock her out with the head kick that one time. Kind of knock her. It was more of that situation. She was really hurt, so the ref stopped it, you know. She definitely wasn't completely out. She got up and tried protesting the shit after the fact and protesting the loss. She was somewhat cognitive after the fact, but, you know, that was the knockout we've seen. She's always had an amazing chin, been tough as hell. That war with Joanna definitely proved she can go through some power shots. So I'm not worried about that danger aspect. She's really, for the past couple of years, just worked on her wrestling and ground game. So that jiu-jitsu ability as well as Lemos carries. Just, I think the biggest thing as well is the youth. Weili is fully in her prime, being in her young 30s, like 31, I think she is. Lemos is 36. So it just is what it is. I think the experience will show. The crazy phenom in Zhang Weili will continue on.
I am definitely inclined to agree. I definitely think that Lemos got this fight because they couldn't make the Zhang Xiaonan fight happen quick enough. But we'll see. So that'll bring us back across the octagon, as it were, here over to Ramey. So Ramey, Zhang Wei Li and Amanda Lemos, 115-pound ladies. 2 women enter, 1 woman leaves with the belt on her waist. Who do you think gets it, and how do you think she does it?
Look, so this is one of my picks that I went back in and changed. Look, I think everybody obviously thinks that like the obvious answer is going to be Zhang Wei. And I think, look, the woman is amazing. She has experience. You're right. She is in a good age group to where, you know, she's at the right age to where she's kind of in her prime. She's got the belt as of now, but at the same time, I don't know why, but I keep going back, and I for some reason see Lemos backpacking her, and I think she's going to submit her in round 2. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know, it could go either way. That, you know, the fight game is the fight game. However, for some reason, I've got Lemos submission round 2. I think she's gonna submit her. I think she's gonna take her to the ground and submit her. Or she's gonna try to backpack her on her feet.
Interesting strategy indeed.
Well, look, I'm trying to just like, this is, like I said, I had Zhang Wei Li as my pick in the first, and I had it like, I think I just had it as like a decision. And then I just thought about it for a little while, and I was, you know, went back like 2 days later and changed it to Lemos submission round 2. I think she, yeah, I know. I think she has the ability to do it. It's just a matter of whether she can handle Zhang Wei Li's power. If she can get through the power of Zhang Wei Li, then she has a possibility of doing that. But like, you know, we can't.
I respectfully agree with your take, my friend, but so that you have good success with your picks, think about it a second time. Because Marina Rodriguez is a totally different woman than Wei Li. That is, much as Lemos may have some strength, that's where I think I can't bounce back and forth on this. This is, to me, the lock of any fight on the card, that Wei Li's going to win, just because Lemos has not experienced anything like what she is.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with your take. I'm just saying that, like, the flip side is the only thing I can think of is that she has the ability to get her to the ground, and then if she can do that, then she might have the ability to go ahead and submit her, because she has some good submissions.
I agree. And the interesting thing to counter check both of your points at the same time, though, with MMA math as well, to make it all completely nonsensical, is that yesterday Jessica Andrade actually said to a Brazilian press outlet that Amanda Lemos hits harder than Zhang Wei Li does, because she's one of the few women who's been hit by both.
Interesting.
Jessica Andrade predicted Amanda Lemos by round 1 KO.
Wow. Whoa, okay.
And I laughed when I heard about that. You bring that up, I laughed my ass off when I heard about that, because, again, what I mentioned earlier with how Andrade just looked since she beat Lemos. What the hell are you?
MMA math to tie it all in. Yep.
Yep.
As I said, and a little MMA math sprinkled in just to make sure it makes no fucking sense.
Right?
Why
exactly.
Like, for the chick that you just beat last year, that's in the position you should be in.
Right.
That's the weirdest thing to me.
Yeah, I thought that was just special.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, I had to go. I'm gonna go Lemos submission round 2. I think she's got the tools to do it. It's literally just a matter of if she can handle the power of Zhang.
Very nice, bold strategy, and I respect it. Not the call I would have made, obviously, but that's why we got different strokes for different folks.
Most people wouldn't choose that.
For round 3 here, I am going to go ahead and give the point to SlowB. I do think that Wei Li is going to take it. I acknowledge that there is absolutely a damn good chance that Lemos could backpack it out, but I think this is going to be Wei Li's punch fest. But we will see tomorrow night for sure.
Probably.
So that'll bring us to round 4, and we will flip the octagon once again. Ramey, you will get this one first here. So for round 4, we like to start things off with the flip side of round 3 here. Main event, the names on the marquee: Aljamain, the Funk Master Sterling, Sean the Sugar Show O'Malley, stepping in for the men's bantamweight title of the UFC. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves with the belt around his waist. Who takes it and how?
So this is another one I went in and changed. I had Aljo. And he's the obvious choice. Let's be honest. However, I'm picking a couple of underdogs on this fight because, this one I think it would be interesting to see O'Malley as a champ, and I don't think he'll hold it for very long if he has it. However, I think it'd be interesting, good for the sport, and he is a sniper, man. Let's be honest. The kid is a sniper. He has an ability to land shots that he shouldn't be able to hit you with, from way outside of your striking range. Now, obviously, Aljamain fights from a distance pretty well too, and he is going to try to shoot on Sean a lot. I have a feeling, and I have a feeling if he does get him to the ground, it's over with. Then Aljo can take it. However, I think obviously Tim Welch, he's a good coach. He's been working with Sean a lot, I'm sure, on everything that Aljo does. I'm sure they've tried to pinpoint every type of direction that Sterling shoots on people, which is crazy because he is a weird, grappler as far as his shooting goes. He'll shoot from the middle of the octagon and then push you all the way to the fence if he can do it. But anyway, so as far as Sean has some ridiculous power in his hands somehow. And I'm sure because he pushes from his foot all the way through his fist whenever he's striking. And it can be a beautiful thing. I mean, the guy's got a lot of actual legit knockouts. I know he doesn't count the Cheeto fight as a win, which I think is hilarious. The Cheeto's on this card too. And Sean O'Malley's the one fighting for the title. It's a weird one whenever Cheeto beat him. Anyway, however, I'm going to go O'Malley TKO round 2. Weird pick, dumb pick, but I'm going for it.
Sometimes you got to stick with the weird picks, man. Sometimes the weird picks just make sense to you and nobody else. I've seen weirder picks play out.
I'm just feeling it. I'm just feeling it. It's a feel. It has nothing to do with MMA math. When I'm choosing here, it's literally just a feeling. Now, if I were to go with MMA math, obviously I'm going with Sterling, period. But I do think O'Malley. I think O'Malley stands a chance. And I wouldn't mind seeing him actually pull it off. I'm a fan of both of these guys, though. More power to both of them. I hope it's a good show, regardless, for the fans. And that's what I'm actually banking on. But yeah, let's go O'Malley TKO round 2.
All righty. So that'll bring us back across the octagon, as it were, here over to Christian, the man not to be forgotten, who once sang aloud on this very podcast, "Pour some sugar on me," in favor of O'Malley getting a win. Christian, awesome. When it comes to this weekend's title fight, main event, Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley, who do you think takes it and how?
All right, so like the brother Ramey had said there, I've learned from those past mistakes of kind of playing around with picks or going with what the heart wants more so than what the brain truly knows. That's kind of why I won last week in the group. They're trying to make those smarter decisions. So I'm going with the smart decision this week. But definitely, if O'Malley somehow gets a win, you'll see me on the show next week singing "Pour Some Sugar on Me" all over again.
Nice.
I've always liked the kid. He's definitely been exciting, but at the end of the day, I have to be honest as an MMA fan. All of the finishes we've seen since he got in the UFC and off the Contender Series are against guys that aren't in the UFC anymore. Once he got to a couple of guys that were actual contenders and Pedro Munoz, he pokes the dude in the eye. He's a hell of a sniper. Like you were saying there, he gave that eye poke there. Once he made that sniper statement, he's a real sniper. He really hits those shots. And then he had the fight against Peter Yan, which was a 3-round fight. We saw him worked like a dog in a sense. He looked like he had been put through hell. 3 rounds.
Yeah.
He may have got the win, but he looked like hell. He looked tired as shit. And he's had over a year off since he's fought now. So even if he's actually been in the gym and been working, he hasn't been active. He hasn't been building in reality on those skills, continuing to truly get better, gain more experience. Ever since he got in the UFC, he's not been anywhere as active as some of those other guys off the contender series. Like you think of a Kevin Holland, how active he's been. And he made it in the UFC years after O'Malley, because O'Malley was off the first season of the contender series. It's just a totally different atmosphere.
Season 1, episode 5.
that have come off the contender series in O'Malley, where O'Malley fights maybe 2 times a year. He's always been that overhyped kind of guy. As much as I've liked him, that's just the reality. Sure. I poked one of those contenders that he fought, and the other guy in Peter Yan, I do think he won the fight. Like at first, I thought he got lucky with the split decision. Going back watching the fight a couple times over, I get he had the damage and he had the output.
Yeah.
But he still showed that he's so inexperienced in that fact that he was able to let Peter Yan for a good part of that fight do what he wanted to do a lot of damage to O'Malley as well. He showed that he doesn't have the greatest defense, even if he was able to stay on his feet. He showed he's got some takedown defense, but he's also got some holes in his game. So much of a sniper as he'd be, take that damage. All remaining was really shown against Henry Cejudo. He is damn good. Constantly switching stances, setting up traps. Like if you go back and watch that fight against Cejudo, every time he would throw any punch, any kick, he was landing with the other foot. He's switching stance every strike that he would throw. He is constantly trying to trip you up as a fighter to just make you think, holy shit, what in the fuck is he doing? Fainting with the takedowns and everything. There's just so much going on. And Aljo's so good on so many levels. O'Malley's going to need that puncher's chance. And I'm never riding with a guy that's just got a puncher's chance. So I think it's still here. As much fun as it would be to see O'Malley get the win, it'd be like Leon Edwards last year. Didn't think Leon had a chance in hell against Kamaru Usman, but we saw what happened with the fucking head kick. He puts Kamaru out. I'll have that same reaction. O'Malley wins.
The whole world had him counted out.
And I'll be on here next week saying, pull that trigger on me. But I'm going Sterling. I think Sterling's going to finish him, too. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be a submission. I think it's probably going to be in like round 3 TKO, maybe a round 4, because of the same thing that we saw with Yan. Sterling has that ability to just trip him up on the feet. He can work him on the ground. And I feel like the way this fight's been building up, that's how Sterling's going to go. If he gets to the ground, fuck the backpack, fuck the submission, he is going to hold the kid down and elbow. He's going to beat his face in. He's going to teach this little brat a lesson. It's going to be the big brother situation. And that's the only way I see this going. Big brother beating the hell out of little brother, embarrassing the hell out of this kid, showing him that he is inexperienced and shouldn't be here. And Daddy Dana put him here because they suck each other off on the weekends. And everything's about to be exposed.
Could be. Absolutely. I don't disagree with you on that. Can I say one thing about the Yan fight with O'Malley?
Yeah,
I do feel like the reason I went back and watched or found out by going back and watching, and I feel like O'Malley won, he turned Yan into a wrestler. He turned a striker into a wrestler.
Yeah, he didn't want to strike with O'Malley. Yeah, O'Malley.
That's what I'm saying. He stopped wanting to strike with O'Malley, and then at that point, I felt like that was O'Malley's win. But it was close. Very close fight. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good.
based
You're
on
good.
all that.
So, all things considered here, much as I do agree with Christian's points, you don't have to agree with the beliefs to want to be on the right side of history. So I am going to give the point for round 4 here to Raimi, which, if you've been following along and you can maths, means that we are now tied up at 2-2 and must go to a sudden death overtime match.
Sweet.
So, in the case of overtime matches, the questions are not pertaining to anything to do with this weekend. And since we are going into round 5 here, Christian, as the veteran's prerogative, I will give you the choice. Would you like to answer first or choose the question?
Oh, shit.
I'm going to choose the question.
Oh, shit. All right, cool.
All right. So, Raimi, 1 through 4. Christian, which one is he answering first?
1 through 4. Like I just said earlier in my last answer, let's go with number 3 because that's when Sean O'Malley's getting his ass worked.
Right on. All right.
So, question number 3. Raimi comes to you first. Ooh, this is a good one too. And of course, the camera's not going to get over it. Who will be the first UFC fighter to get a cross-promotional fight?
John Jones, if he doesn't retire.
Who do you think he fights?
I think he goes and fights Ngannou in the PFL.
You think Dana would actually sign that paperwork?
Yeah. I think he would. Because I think he would think that John Jones is going to whoop his ass, and he would want to see that. Because him and Ngannou do not get along.
Very true. Very true.
I think he would sanction that.
Interesting. Jones and Ngannou in UFC PFL first cross promotion.
You got to admit, it would be
bazillion pay-per-views.
Yeah,
it would absolutely sell a bazillion, even if they didn't put anybody else on the card. Yeah,
True.
No, that would be a damn good show for sure.
I'm in. I mean, I'd watch that shit all day long.
Very interesting indeed.
All right.
Okay, so Christian, that brings it back across the octagon over to you then, sir. Who would be the UFC's first cross-promotional fighter?
Yeah, I figured he would take John Jones, man. Most people would jump to John. But I'm going to go a little bit of a different route here because the dude's already done it once. Conor motherfucking McGregor.
Right.
And this one's easy for me because it's the Nate Diaz trilogy. Nate Diaz created his own promotion, Real Fight Inc.
That's true.
Oh, shit,
That's the only
true.
way I
forget about
the
that.
UFC is not just going to have to give Nate a huge bag. They're going to have to.
Well, the UFC loves Nate. So,
promote.
Yeah.
They're going to have to give Nate his own little spotlight in that way. Then Nate would, in a sense, come because then Nate can say, I'm not coming back to the UFC. I didn't sign a contract with the UFC. I'm not with the UFC, right? This is my own promotion. I'm cross-promoting with the UFC. This is Real Fight Inc. And I'm just going in there to whoop Conor's ass, right? So that's what I'm throwing out there. The first fighter in UFC history to get the cross-promotional fight. That's easy. That's Conor McGregor. He's still under a UFC contract. And the motherfucker is not wanting to fight Chandler, and who knows if we'll ever actually get to see him fight again. It's probably not going to be this year, like he keeps trying to say. So if you got to actually go through the 6 months of USADA testing and all this shit, Nate Diaz just had this bullshit with, fuck boy Jake Paul. All that's over. He still had his good moments. He was Nate in that fight. Whether the kid knocked him down or not, he still trolled him the entire fight. Fans still fucking love him. We'd all love to see it. That's what all of us have wanted for years. The UFC's wanted it too. It all makes sense. And they just gave Kevin Holland's ass a taco truck to fight Jack Della Maddalena. So why the hell wouldn't you just pat Nate Diaz on the back and tell, okay, buddy, yeah, we're cross-promoting. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're promoting everything. We're setting everything up, but you get to fucking put your label on it too. And, you know, like the UFC banner, whenever all the guys are doing the promotions and media day and shit, you'll have the little Real Fight Inc. thing, just like in the boxing promotions too. It'll just be added on, right? It, like what Ramey said about Jones and Ngannou. This would be the more realistic promotion. Because I don't see Dana White ever fucking around with Bellator or PFL. It's that specific vendetta that these motherfuckers are specifically trying to infringe upon what I built. I'm the king of MMA. This is what I've created. All that, you know, the egotistical dude that we know he is, right? So just thinking whether he'd like to see that fight. No, he hates Francis Ngannou, everything that happened with that. He would never want to give that man any money or any potential success. And as much as he loves John Jones, he wanted John to fight Tyson Fury and all. Yeah, no. There's so much spite and ego there.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
Even though it would be fun. All of us fight fans want that fight of Ngannou and Jones, but Dana and his ego and spite wouldn't let that happen. This one, though, it's just too easy. The trilogy between Nate and Conor, the first fighter to ever get it, it could maybe happen, but we need some more time. You know, it's only been a little bit of time since Dana had his little bitch fit and needed to get Francis Ngannou out of there and erase him from history because he's upset with how he did him. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot about that whole issue where they, the who came out and they were saying it was the first Cameroon fighter in the UFC.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty rude.
Yeah, that was kind of shitty.
It was shitty. But here's my only counterpoint to that is that the spite that Dana has might be enough to basically be like, you know what, fuck you guys. I'll make all the money off of this. I'll end up giving you I'll shell you guys out a little bit. And that's the only reason I think so, is because of the spite. Like, I almost think Dana is the kind of person that might be like, you know what, fuck you guys. Let's do this. Because it's going to make them a lot of money.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could definitely see Dana considering it if Ray Sefo actually came to him and was like, look, here's the contract, 60-40 split, you guys get the big piece. Just you have to do the promotion work for us because you've got more reach than we do. Dana would definitely think about it for sure. But on the other hand, after 9 million times in the last month of Dana getting behind every microphone and saying that the UFC is Nate's house,
it is
I
Nate's
could
house.
absolutely see, considering that Dana also let Icon FC, Uriah Faber's F1 fighting, Anthony Pettis' A1 fighting, and then George Masvidal's bare knuckle FC.
Oh yeah, man!
On UFC Fight Pass.
True.
He very well could be like, well, if we can't get Nate to come back to the UFC, a cross promotion with him, fighting the one guy that we wanted him to fight in the UFC anyway, that's going to be the other $1 billion offer. Ray Sefo, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. In that way, they keep all the money.
Yes, exactly. No, I agree, Ramey. That was a wonderful point. And under other circumstances, I absolutely would have given it to you on that one. But I've got to say, Christian, that was a fucking spectacular answer.
Yeah,
and I have to give you the point on that one, sir. Congratulations.
I agree 100%.
The pit win is yours, sir. That was a fucking great answer, and I didn't even think of that myself. Answer. That's fucking great.
Yeah, seriously, never even considered that. That's actually probably the easiest move to make, honestly.
For everybody involved, and Dana would likely just go with it too.
Yeah, I agree. Good choice.
All right. Well, gentlemen, great
match
I
learned
to both of
there.
you. Thank you very much. Christian, congratulations on the win. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy what we get up to around here, please make sure you've got your notifications turned on. Give us a like if you like what we get up to around here. On the other side of that, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. That being said, when we wrap up here on Thursday nights, normally that's not the end of it, because then Friday mornings, like this morning, if you'd been following, that gentleman over there and his hetero life mate drop their own podcast, the SlowB Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com/SlowB can contemplate. Their link for that and their socials are down in the description, as well as the link to their page, their channel on the I'm No Joe Discord server. The link to that scrolling down along the bottom as well. Feel free to join that. Anybody is welcome. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother. The fun doesn't stop there, even if the guy didn't show up himself tonight. No obligations in life, keep you busy and shit. You gotta go show the brother TJ some fucking love every Wednesday night, about the same time, 9 o'clock, 9:30 Central Time. You go hop in on the Foggy Fairway. The Golf T Vapes YouTube channel. I think Golf T Vapes everywhere, pretty much, all social media platforms. Make sure you follow the brother, show him some love, hop in every Wednesday night. You'll see Meter joining along with him. Maybe anybody else that likes to hop on in. You know, do a bunch of mixes, vapes, chill, have a good time. It's always good fucking vibes. Make sure you show the brother TJ some love, even though he couldn't be here tonight. So give him a shout out. And then, of course, appreciate brother Ramey for hopping on. I'm sure any links and everything that the brother does, his own podcast and all that shit will be put down in the description as well. So make sure you show everybody some fucking love. He also got the meter. You know, TJ can't be here to do that. You got the meter. He likes to do many fucking things. So you got to make sure you fucking check that out as well. The meter does many fucking things. Links down in the description for fucking everything, right? So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, links for all of my shit, all of the I'm No Joe shit, links for everybody's shit. Ramey's links will all be down in the bottom as well. Links to all the good shit we get up to. Anything you want to check out, I'm No Joe related, anything for any of us, all down in the description. Thank you again to everyone who is catching us live here Thursday nights on youtube.com/I'm No Joe, or everyone listening on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe through your podcast consumption of choice a week later. We appreciate you guys just the same. That being said, that was words live. That being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless it's Donald Trump. Fuck that guy.
I proved it. Well, my picks.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.